We'll have to continue to do that work over the course of the next 9 months. So I want to introduce to you somebody who has been there for us for so many years, somebody who has been able to fight for a woman's right to choose, somebody who has been able to fight for the expansion of Medicaid, our Senator, Monty Mason.
Let's go, Monty!
Thank you. Hey. I just wanted to take a quick second and say thank you. And those of you in the back, I bet you don't have to tell me to be louder. Oh, you already said louder. Good grief. Did y'all check your hearing this morning when you came in? I just wanted to say thanks. Look at the size of this crowd. I mean, we proved in November that when we turn people out, that when we get up and we speak and we move, that we can make change, and that's of critical importance. You know, I'm very fortunate that I grew up. My mother and her sister were raised by a tobacco foreman and a bank teller in the 50s. And they were told that they could do anything they wanted. It didn't make a damn bit of difference that they were women. So I grew up under this understanding, and with two strong national businesswomen and a 40-year teacher in my mother. I married a lawyer with an MBA who is a dominant professional at the College William and Mary, and I'm raising two young daughters right here that I want to have every opportunity that anyone can have. So staying active, staying involved, continuing to make our points is critical. I look around, and particularly after the events of last night in Washington, after some of the things that we've already seen go down in Richmond, we know there's still work to be done. And it's very easy to focus on all the things we don't like. But remember, it is critical for us to continually talk about the things that we believe in. That women's rights are human rights. That health care and access to proper health care is something that we will not stop until we provide to all people. And that we must embark upon a day that equal rights are for all people, regardless of race, creed, gender, or sexual orientation. If we keep talking about the things we believe in, history's on our side and we'll win. But it takes involvement like this, it takes enthusiasm like this, and it takes effort like this for us to get it done. So I say thank you, and I'll introduce you to a great woman leader from Newport News, Virginia, and the Virginia Peninsula, my friend, Shelley Simon.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me all right? My name is Shelley Simons, and on December 19, I won a recount in Newport News by 1 vote. Maybe you heard about it. The next day, my opponent, David Yancey, and his old boys network of cronies cheated and broke the law of Virginia to bring it to a tie. Then we had that ridiculous drawing of lots from a big ceramic bowl in Richmond. And that's going to be the theme of my next campaign. It's going to be, let's go break some bowls. But during the press conference after the drawing of lots, I was getting all these questions about what it all means and luck. And a friend of mine said, you know, Shelley, those reporters were trying to make you cry. I did not cry. I felt it was critical to stay strong at that moment because I had some very important people in my community who needed me to be strong. And number one among those important people were the girls and young women of my community. These women and girls deserve a government that truly reflects them, that represents them in the General Assembly of Virginia. Right now, we are at 28% women in our General Assembly, but we can do better than that. campaign was part of a wave election, a wave of Democrats, women running for the House of Delegates. And as you've just heard, we elected 11 new Democratic women to the House of Delegates. These women have been working for us. They have already introduced bills about improving education, providing parental leave, to ensure equal pay for equal work, and to pass the Equal Rights Amendment, which my grandmother was working on in the 1920s. I would encourage more women across the state to run for office. Many of us have been inspired by anger and disbelief over the 2016 election. Donald Trump has energized a generation of women, and my last election, I have to say, I felt a little lonely. It was me pushing back against the male tradition of our state government. But today, I know that I've got you all with me, and I thank you for that. Women are paying attention to what is happening in our state government, in the General Assembly, like never before. We are watching, and we have to let them know that we are watching. During the recount, the Republicans held a press conference to essentially complain about how I was on national TV criticizing my opponent, David Yancey, for cheating and breaking the law during the recount. They were not used to being held accountable on national TV. But do you know what I say to that? I am a grown woman, and you cannot shush me. And you can't shush any of us. We are going to continue to hold them accountable. We are going to continue to run for office. We are going to keep writing postcards, knocking on doors, doing the hard work of campaigns until we win, and keep winning and get women elected to the highest offices of this great state of Virginia. Thank you very much.
The next speaker we have, I'm going to do a really quick introduction for. She's not running for office, and she hasn't, as far as I know. She represents the Village Initiative, which is a grassroots organization devoted to achieving greater equity in the WJCC school district, particularly by closing the gap and ending the school-to-prison pipeline. So she's come to represent that group. Jackie?
Good afternoon, everyone. How y'all feeling? I'm feeling real good. I would like to thank the organizers and sponsors of today's march, the League of Women Voters, Common Ground Williamsburg, and the Williamsburg JCC Indivisibles. I'm Jacqueline Bridgeforth Williams, founder of The Village, a grassroots education advocacy organization that focuses on educational rights. Building a positive relationship with our local school system is the center of our mission and our work. The Village has partnered with Williamsburg James City County Schools to develop and implement a tutoring initiative through which over 30 tutors have been placed at James River and Berkeley Middle School each week. The Village, The Village is made up of concerned and action organization, made up of concerned citizens, parents, and educators. So as we stand here today in this very historic place, we have all chosen to be on the right side of history. The right that says it does not matter what your gender is, your race, your age, or your religion, or your socioeconomic status, or where you come from, because we are all created equal. Women have always been trailblazers and iconic leaders. Our roles have always been significant. How do we know? Because as we stand here today, arm in arm, united, we remember those great women that came on before us. Harriet Tubman, 1822, born a slave, an American abolitionist. She freed more than 300 slaves in the Underground Railroad. Mother in 1910. She was a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and she dedicated her life to serving the poorest of the poor. Some have called her the world's greatest humanitarian. Rosa Parks, 1913 to 2005, civil rights activist, known as the mother of the civil rights movement, because she refused to be moved. Dorothy Height, 1912 to 2010, civil rights and women's advocate. Princess Diana, 1981 to 1996, a great humanitarian. Her causes range from the treatment of AIDS to the banning of landmines and raising millions of dollars to fight breast cancer and AIDS. A new day is on the horizon as we stand on the shoulders of all these great women of purpose who came before us. We are here to continue the work for justice and equality. In closing, I leave you with these words from the great Dr. Martin Luther King. During this most important and crucial time in our lives, in your life's blueprint, there must be 3 things that you are committed to: beauty, love, and justice. Well, for life, none of us has had a crystal staircase. But we must keep moving, keep going. If you cannot fly, run. If you cannot run, walk. If you cannot walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. Say it with me. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep fighting. Keep voting. And keep marching. Keep marching. To victory. May our community and our village be that much more united.
So much. We have one more quick note or announcement before we get closed and send you all off to march. So this is our last speaker, really quickly.
I'm Robert Hodge. I'm from WMBG Radio, Williamsburg's radio station. I'm the host of your show, which airs from 12 to 3 every day. This is my woman. She might be the youngest marcher today. She's 10 weeks old and her name is Girly, in your honor. And I tell you what, she makes friends everywhere she goes, so I know she'd like to meet most of you. The reason I'm here is not only to commend us all for being a part of change and being a part of a movement that's very important, but today you're actually a part of history. You're commemorating the anniversary of the first International Women's March, and I want to make an announcement to you that 3 weeks ago, before I even knew this was going to happen today, I had on my calendar, on my show, I have booked an interview with a lady named Paula Mendoza, who was one of the national organizers of the Women's March last year. She is going to be on a week from Monday, on the 29th, and I hope you'll all tune in. I know you'll be interested to hear it. And this interview is important because they just, if you're not aware, 4 days ago, they put out a book called Together We Rise that is a beautifully done coffee table book of pictures from every march they could get photographed for this book. And it's something you're all going to want. And she is going to come on my show and talk about how this all began. And I'm delighted because as a radio host, relevance is everything. Timeliness is everything. And I did not know about this march in Williamsburg until after the fact. So now I have something to talk with the national organizers about because it's happened again right here in my backyard on WMBG. And I think they're going to be proud of you today on the national level. And I can bring that to their attention and I can be your mouthpiece because I'm a working member of the media. I'm on the air for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. And we have a lot to talk about, I think you'll agree. Do you not? So let's stop fake news and let's stop the media ignoring the facts and y'all get in touch with me and let's talk about this on the air. Shall we? Thank you for letting me tell you about this. Tune in on the 29th for Paola Mendoza.
All right, thank you. I'm going to close up and then send us off marching. Thank you all for being here again before we get going. And thank you to my fellow organizers from the Williamsburg James City County Indivisible group and from my own group, Common Ground Williamsburg. Again, my name is Elizabeth Polster. For many of us, our journey into political and community activism began right here a year ago. We came out to march because we were frustrated or furious or disappointed. But when we were all here, or in DC, we found a great sense of camaraderie and solidarity that I wasn't expecting and many others weren't expecting. We felt inspired, standing shoulder to shoulder with more than 5 million people worldwide who shared the same values and ideals as us. After the Women's March last year, though many of us had no prior experience, we knew we could no longer be silent and passive. We got to work, my group and I, and many, many others here and across the country. Change is up to us. We realized this last year, or more than a year ago. It's not just going to happen on its own. We, particularly for us, those who have some privilege and resources to be able to stand up who hadn't before, it was a steep learning curve and a really wonderful experience to step into those roles. At Common Ground, we wanted to focus on creating change here in our community. That is where it all has to start. That is why you all chose to be here today, locally, at your hometown march. It all starts locally, grassroots. Like the other local progressive groups that are on the cards, which you've hopefully gotten or can grab, people are still handing them out, these flyers. These have next steps on them and the other local progressive groups who are active in Williamsburg and James City County. These groups are all welcome to all. We welcome you to use the inspiration and solidarity that you feel today and have hopefully last year. And if you haven't been involved, get and stay involved. The change starts here. All right, now we're going to march. What? Woo, I know. We're going to, this is the route, if you haven't seen already. We are going to march down to the Capitol, which is this way. When we get down there, I ask you to, we have a beautiful banner that is behind me. They are going to lead the march. When we get down to the Capitol, please wait, just pause for a minute, do some chants or singing, and we're going to move the banner back around so it's at the front, because we're going to march back down to Merchant Square on the opposite way. So again, that's from here, behind the banner, follow it down to the Capitol, and then back the other direction to Merchant Square. We also, at the end, if you want and stick around, you can sign the banner as well, where we have signatures on the back. So as we set off, we're going to be singing we'd like to lead you in singing a historic women's strike song. There's lyrics that have been handed out on smaller white sheets of paper. This will be the song that sets us off. And we're going to do one verse of it for you as we get going so people can get the melody if they're not already familiar.
What you're looking at is a song called Bread and Roses, and it's associated with a historic strike in 1912, which is particular. Thank you. Can you hear me? All right. What you're looking at is a song called Bread and Roses, and it's associated with a historic strike in 1912, which is particularly notable because hitherto, the idea that women could organize en masse and bridge the often very bitter ethnic divides between different groups of people working in a mill city, in this case in Lawrence, Massachusetts, that idea was considered implausible. It was laughed at. And yet, in the winter of 1912, over 20,000 women from over 40 different nationalities, over 20,000 workers, most of them women, from over 40 different nationalities, organized and won better working conditions for them, their children, and their peers. And the idea that we're all gathering for common goals is reminiscent of that. We're standing, as Sir Isaac Newton so famously said, on the shoulders of giants when we're singing this song that recognizes their own empowerment and what they empowered us to keep doing. So the three of us are going to sing the first verse as loud as we can, And then we're going to pause, and we hope very much that you'll join in with us when we start from the top at the end. Ready? As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. So there's the tune. You think you can do it? All right, let's go. As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient call for bread. Small art and love and beauty their drudging spirits knew. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's brothers, and we'll march with them again. Our lives shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, we bring the greater days. The rising of the women means all humankind we raise. No more the drudge and idler can toil while one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, bread and roses. Our lives shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies, bread and roses, bread and roses.